Are you listening? Damn. Yeah.
Hello and welcome back to another episode of the Damn Podcast. I am your host, Angie Machado. Joined with me, as always, is BeaverBlitz beat writer Jake Hedberg, coming to us from his new digs in Corvallis. And joining us this week, who missed us last week, Ty Boyce, BeaverBlitz contributor extraordinaire, coming to us from a sunny locale. Guys, how are we?
Good, man.
Doing well.
I'm here in North Bend. I'm here in North Bend, Oregon, at the Back Alley Pub in North Bend Lanes. Beaver fans, if you're in Southern Oregon, come check it out. Matt Matacek, Beaver fan, come support. I'm stoked to be here. Yeah,
it looks cool. I have been North Bend since I was a pharmaceutical rep a long time ago, pushing Prozac. But North Bend was part of my territory.
Nice,
so, fun little town. Okay. We are going to start things off, guys, before we go back and talk Civil War and before we preview Purdue and get to damn questions. We have a really special guest today. I'm going to bring Todd Butler on. If you guys have been watching College Game Day over the past season and a half, you've probably seen the damn flag. Big Beaver flag that's waving next to Old Crimson, which has a over 300 episode stint on College Game Day. Todd, welcome to your first damn podcast. How in the heck are you, first of all?
Well, I've recovered from last weekend's disappointment and ready to move on. And we're fun representing Oregon State on ESPN Game Day, like you said. We had a great one a couple of weekends ago when they were talking I'm old, I'm senile. The Michigan Heisman Trophy winners' sons. Anyhow, they had a close-up, and the orange damn flag was right above his head the entire time. So that's what we're after, is those moments when Oregon State and Old Crimson can just kind of show up and remind people, hey, we're still here, and these are fine institutions, great athletic programs, and we're not going away. And now we're the Pac-6, or the six-pack, as we've started calling it. We were the Pac-2, and it's a good time right now. We're trying to grow this, making an enduring presence out there. It started as a bunch of cranky old Beaver alumni. I reached out to Angie because I was down here in Alabama, and I knew College Game Day was coming, and I just said, hey, can you get a hold of Old Crimson and see if they want to partner? And it turned out they did. They had the same idea. So I went down, me and another guy, Mike Sheehy, class of 89. I'm class of 87, Oregon State. He's a retired Army officer. I'm a retired Marine. We took our flag and we went down there and we represented. And it was a great experience. So from there, we started partnering with Old Crimson. We're on number 18. We've completed 18 consecutive. We were represented in Ireland. With Old Crimson, made that happen. But we've got Andy Lake, one of the other founding members. He's on his way down to Oklahoma, and that'll be number 19. And we want to continue this. Old Crimson, like you said, they're over 300 now.
Yeah. And it's quite it was a huge eye-opening experience last year. And the amount of work. Andy had a nice learning experience because Andy had these amazing, ginormous flags made. They were beautiful, huge. And they're too heavy to fly. So it's been a big learning curve about how big and the weight, because if they get wet, they get too heavy. Old Crimson, though, shout out to them because those fellas and ladies have been amazing partners.
They are. They really know how to do this thing. They're dialed in, very mature organization. They got people all across the country who are signing up as soon as they announce where game day is going. And that's what we're trying to do. And that's one of the reasons we wanted to talk with you. One, we want to thank you because you've been one of our key supporters. BeaverBlitz and Angie have been instrumental in making this thing go since day one. And we appreciate that. But, we want to reach out to Oregon State alumni. It's funny, when we go to these events, we always get an OSU alum shows up. Some of them in the strangest positions and places. I was down in Tuscaloosa last year, second time, for LSU Alabama. I'm standing there and I got the flag flying my slow figure eights because that's how you do it. And woman dressed head to toe in purple and gold comes walking up. Turns out she is an athletics administrator at LSU, but she's a class of 89 Oregon State grad. And she wanted to wave the flag. And all the Alabama guys were standing around going, what the hell's this going on? But we've had that experience everywhere we've gone. We get OSU alums. I had a kid, Alabama again. He was born in Corvallis, Oregon, because his dad was working on his master's at Oregon State. And he knew all the history. And it was funny how many of these Alabama kids, you know what they remember? Quiz running over USC. And I'm like, you weren't even born then. You've seen the replays. And, you know, they all hate Arkansas. So, you know, they all love 2018 College World Series. And that was one of the funniest interactions I had. I was over in Athens, Georgia, College Game Day. And for some reason, there was a pair of Arkansas kids in the crowd there. And one of them started yelling at me, and he was clearly drunk, about Oregon State, you guys ain't nothing. And I'm looking up going, 2018 ring a bell, College World Series. And his buddy's going, dude, you need to shut up. You don't know what you're getting yourself into. And I go, Trevor Larnack, ring a bell with you. And he's looking at me real funny. I go, win a World Series, then we'll talk. And it was funny because all the Georgia guys were yelling him down too. He had to be escorted out because they were going to thump him. So, you know, people across the country, sports fans, don't like what happened to Old Crimson in Oregon State. They understand. And I think there's a little bit of fear among some of the schools that this could happen to them too.
Yeah, that's a whole nother topic for another day.
Oh, it is.
What's going on now, and Oregon State and Washington State kind of getting a jump now, maybe potentially putting the fear in the ACC if they poach a couple AAC teams. But
it's
Todd,
been an interesting week.
Yeah, it has. So the big thing we really want to get out today is the fact that you guys, these are volunteers, Todd, Andy, got just a great group that are doing this. They're on social media, so look for the damn flag. But what they're really trying to do is build a database of just people that are interested in waving the flag, so that when College Game Day is announced, we actually have folks that we can go to and say, hey, you want to wave it? It's coming towards you. So it's been an interesting run. I think the best one, whatever was it Michigan that we had problems last year?
It was
and
Notre Dame.
Notre Dame. And we went to, I finally called, I got Alexis Cerna on the phone to help me. And we ended up getting a former Beav, Yanni DiMaggiorannis, who was originally from Chicago area. It was actually one of his friends. And then I think Yanni came in at the last minute too to help his friend Mike. And so it's been a teamwork, but they need to build that database is what they really need to do. So Todd, I think you have a web address.
Well, this is, if you want to, I don't know how well I'm doing this, but, and I'll post this in the chat.
Okay.
But,
and we'll get it out on social as well. So if you're listening to this as a podcast, we'll make sure that it's out there.
Good to go. But we're also on Facebook, The Damn Flag. We're on X, Twitter, The Damn Flag again, and Instagram. We've got sites on all of them. If nothing else, go on, give us a follow. Let's build the network that way. Follow along. You can register at that site I showed and fill out a form. If you happen to be coming to your area, hey, we'll reach out to you because it's kind of a bucket list too. It's a really neat experience to go there and see College Game Day as it's happening. You know, it's funny. How they do that every week is an amazing thing to see. But you know, like you said, our flash to bang, when we find out, sometimes we find out on Saturday morning, sometimes we find out on Sunday evening. But our flash to bang to get the flags in position and get people ready to go and linked up with Old Crimson's network is very short, very tight. So if we have a list of people to pull from who are interested, that will help a lot. But
and we have all the supplies. There's lots of supplies. Is there a way for people to donate too for the shipping and everything?
If you reach out to the Damn Nation NIL and just earmark it specifically for the Damn Flag, we have a partnership with them, and you will see their flag as well. We have worked a partnership with them, and we are flying the Damn Nation NIL flag as well. So just trying to get that out there, doing a little guerrilla marketing, as it were, beaver marketing in this case.
Grassroots, baby, that's where it's at. So again, we'll post that on socials. Ben is also a big part of this too. So just wanted to give you guys all a shout out. You guys have done a great job. Send me, Todd, text me a link to that too, and I will make sure to get that out on my socials, Twitter and Face, or I guess Twitter is my main one. So we'll definitely do that too. So thank you for doing, as Ty said, Lord's work. Either of you guys have questions for Todd?
Hey Todd, thanks for serving our country, man, and go Beavs. That's all.
Yeah,
appreciate it. Yeah,
Absolutely.
Go Beavs. You know, that's it. You know, in Trent we trust, and you know, people we tell them, hey, built not bought, and that we believe that, and that's kind of what this is about. This is grassroots effort. This was a group of us who were angry about what was happening and turned it into action, and that's kind of what Beavers do.
Absolutely.
So go Beavs, and appreciate everything you guys do. Big fan of BeaverBlitz, and so love what you guys are doing.
Well, thank you, and you're amazing. Thanks for jumping on. I know it's late back there, so thank you for jumping on.
Okay, have a good evening.
Go Beavs. Thanks, Todd.
Go Beavs, buddy.
Go Beavs.
Cool. It's crazy. They do such amazing. It's fun to see that every week. It's what's kind of funny is my mom. Like, I told her I help with this, and my mom will I have to get on and watch game day to see if I see the Beaver flag.
Yeah.
It's there. I promise you. Anyway, okay, fellas, we're gonna talk some. Ty, did you get to watch any of the Civil War?
Yeah, I did.
Okay.
I was working, but yeah, I did. That first half was, man, great football, great Beaver football, and it was like gritting my teeth. In the second half, I'm kind of glad that I had to work. I'm glad I had to work, man.
Yeah. Jake, how about you?
Yeah, you know, it was definitely a tale of two halves. You know, the first half looked like a
Are
really.
you sick again, by the way?
No, I was got a little
Okay.
cold. Just got
Okay.
the first half was like a little. It was a good football game. I mean, Oregon State. You know, their offense put up more yardage than Oregon, but self-inflicted stuff kept some points off the board. Second half looked like a JV varsity game. You know, Oregon State didn't look like they belonged in the same ballpark as Oregon in the second half. And, you know, you always want your team to come out stronger in the second half with those halftime adjustments and stuff. And what we saw from Oregon State in the second half wasn't indicative of what we think this team is, at least in my opinion. So that was a little bit disappointing to see how they came out in the second half. And, you know, hats off to Dan Lanning and Oregon. They played a hell of a football game. They outplayed Oregon State without a doubt.
Yeah, absolutely. I was kind of pissed off during the game. Jake and I were both of us a little fired up. But you know what? So I will say that some losses hit me where I wake up the next morning and I'm still pissed off. I wasn't. I was kind of like, okay, it's time just to move on because, like you said, and then when I went back, Eric wanted to watch part of it. The first half, and then listening to especially Brian Gunderson yesterday, he was right on the money. First half, it was self-inflicted. I mean, it could have been 21-21 going into the half. It probably should have been 21-21 if the Beavers didn't shoot themselves in the foot. But that second half, you go a 3-and-out, Ducks score, go 3-and-out again, Ducks score, and you've just dug yourself too big a hole to come out of.
Yeah. I mean, that first touchdown when we tied up 7-7, I burst out of the car because I was watching it because I'm at a big outdoor music festival. I'm the MC at an event, and I burst out of the car and I run around the car. I rolled my ankle. I rolled my ankle, and everybody's like, is there bees chasing you? What's wrong with you right now? Because I'm like rolling out, screaming, yelling, like over the festival that is, 60 yards away from me backstage. And I was like, yes, we're going to go punch to punch with these suckers. And then, yeah.
You are just a walking comedy show is what you're trying to tell us.
Yeah. Man, yeah. Sometimes pain is funny. And that's what was represented Saturday. So, yeah.
So thoughts on the offense, Jake, what did you think of Vaughn in his performance?
Yeah, I mean, I thought he did, again, what they asked him to. He made the shorter, easy throws, and he completed them pretty effectively. I don't I was kind of disappointed by the lack of potentially explosive passing plays called. I mean, there was the one on the trick play, but Giovanni didn't attempt to pass farther than 20 yards.
Yeah.
And playing a team against Oregon, it's tough. It's tough to compete and win a game if you can't throw the football down the field and stretch it to defense, because what defenses do is they stack the box. That's what Oregon did. They took away the run.
Yeah.
In Oregon State. It was I don't know if it's because Oregon State doesn't trust Giovanni to make those throws. I mean, he's thrown 2 of them. I thought they were both really good balls. The deep touchdown pass to David Wells and then the deep one on the flea flicker to Trent Walker against San Diego State. But at this point, I don't know if that's the staff not trusting Giovanni or Giovanni himself not taking those throws because he wants to make the smarter, safer throws. And throughout starting this Saturday and carrying over to the rest of the season, I'd like to see the passing game stretched out some more downfield.
Yeah, because that's going to become something that teams are going to just do, is stop the run and dare you to throw downfield. And what are your thoughts? I haven't had a problem really with this whole bringing Bari in for a series, but I thought this against Oregon, it was not a good time to do it.
I personally think there's pluses and negatives. I mean, if the offense is in a flow in a game where you're going to have to play a really good game to win, like we had on Saturday.
Yeah.
And Giovanni's first 2 drives were very efficient. The first one, if it wasn't for procedural stuff, 2 false starts, and a low snap on the field goal or a bobbled hold, I know there was something wrong with that. Then Oregon State, they would have walked away with at least 3 points on that first drive. Should have been 7. And then they scored on the following drive. And then Oregon State comes in, didn't have great center quarterback communication between Jabari Johnson and Luka Vincic. And then, in a game like that where playing a team like Oregon who's going to score points, you have to score points. And I don't like if a quarterback's hot and the offense is moving the football efficiently, I think you stick with that.
You stick with him. Yeah, I agree.
I think go ahead.
You go.
I think keeping him engaged and bringing him in is not only smart, it's obvious, because I think he's going to be a really great player for the future, and you want to hold on to him. I'm a fan, so I don't know what's going through Gunderson's head. I do sometimes question the scripted nature of it, though. Why does it, bring him in on the 5th drive, bring him on the 7th drive or whatever, because has that been consistent? Like it's been the 3rd drive every time?
It's been the 3rd drive every time with Jabari and with Childs last year as well.
Childs too.
Yeah. Which I just feel like that's like it's a little bit predictable. That's all. And again, these guys, I do trust these coaches to get to make the calls, and I haven't. That trust has not been tested in that regard, but it's like, I don't see why it has to be the 3rd, because I think that Oregon defense is like, and we're in rhythm because we know what to expect. This is what we've prepared for. I think you got to keep bringing it. And I don't think he's a liability. I think there was mishaps that were maybe unrelated to him, and in that, like, Vivich is the center where he's been working with Wells in those situations. So my only thing is like, well, why be so predictable in that regard? That's my only question as a fan,
Yeah, I'm with Jake though, that if the offense is in rhythm, which it was, even if it didn't mean a bunch of points, I just didn't like that. I agree though. You don't want to be boring and predictable. This is my mantra with my children. We take different ways home when they were growing up. Drive different ways home. Didn't want to be boring and predictable. I told them you never know when a sniper's going to be waiting and wait. Got to keep them on their toes.
Where do you live, Angie? Where do you live that you're worried about snipers?
You just got to keep them on their toes. We live in the mean streets of Sherwood.
Nice.
Maybe only second to mean streets of West Lynn.
Yeah, sure.
Which I've heard there's like a whole Instagram of the mean streets of West Lynn.
It's very scary.
Yeah.
Anyway, no. So I agree. The boring and predictable. Like I said, if my kids were listening, they'd be laughing right now because They know I say we just don't want to be boring and predictable.
I think you got to continue to engage him, though. So I don't think you depart from bringing him in for a series because I think that I think Giovanni's been a really cool surprise, and I feel like all three of us related this in like the practice reports. There were times when Giovanni was scary, and he's been nothing but steady Eddie. He's been great,
He hasn't turned the football over.
Yeah. So that there's in no way, shape, or form. So you got to continue to engage Jabari, but you also, Giovanni's your guy, and he's deserved to be so.
Yeah.
So I just think that would be my only critique as a fan, as an ignorant fan, is that why not switch it up as far as being so predictable when they come in? Because that defense goes, oh, here we go.
Yeah.
I mean, going back to Vonnie super fast, I think we've seen a lot of growth from Vonnie and his confidence, especially. I mean, I feel like he just carries himself in a much more confident way. I mean,
even his interviews with the media.
Yeah, that's what. Yeah, like talking to the media. If you look at the first one from the spring to how he is his one yesterday, it's night and day. Like, he's confident. He's kind of coming into his own as a quarterback, and that's really what you want to see. Like, in my mind, the player on the field that needs to be the most confident is the quarterback.
Sure.
And to see that confidence grow is a very positive thing. So hats off to Giovanni McCoy for that.
And like you said, he has done everything that Gunderson has asked of him. Now, we don't know if he's checking down from some of the calls, but he has protected he has not been a liability.
He's taken he's taken 2 sacks. Maybe 3.
He has run the offense. He has not done anything, he's not been a liability. So I think that's that's what you want.
Well, and I also feel like too is I'm a big Ben Branson fan, but I mean at this point in the season, I think I'd take a 2024 Giovanni McCoy over a 2022 Ben Branson. Now, of course, those are really different teams, really different schedules, really different given circumstances. But I mean, I think the way that I think we're all finding out, we're like, wow, this guy is a QB1, and I don't think there should be any question about that right now.
So going into this game, my question mark was on the offense. I did not expect what we saw on defense. I thought the Beavs defense I didn't feel that they were that aggressive. They were not swarming. What did you guys think?
Yeah, it was very uncharacteristic from a Trent Bray defense. I think it's the most points Oregon State's put up since Bray's been in a defensive coordinator / head coaching role. I thought Oregon, what they did, scheme wise, was very successful. They got their athletes, guys like Tez Johnson, just really good receivers, and they put them in the slot, got them in mismatches against the Oregon State inside linebackers and the Oregon State slot corners, and just really confused them. And their athletes out-athleted our athletes. Another thing I was a little surprised by was more of the lack of pressure that Oregon State brought. It seemed like under recent years, Oregon State's they've brought a lot of pressure to get to the quarterback and throw guys off the edge. And this was an Oregon O-line that had given up 7 sacks to Boise State and Idaho. And I mean, Oregon State didn't even register quarterback pressure. So that's was definitely an area for concern. We talked to Nico Taylor today, and he kind of said, like, we're trying to work on our pass rush. That's one of the bigger things coming into this week, and it needs to be improved because it was the most points Oregon State's allowed since November of 2019.
Wow. Yeah, the lack of the pass rush is huge because that just makes the back end, DBs having to cover for 4+ seconds is nearly impossible to do. So
I might lose you guys just because I'm on the road and it's getting windy and there's Wi-Fi issues. I just want to get this out real quick. I think this is a really cool opportunity to find out a lot more about our team. And I know we've said that kind of every week, but man, like what now, and you can make excuses. You can talk about the schematically where, like, maybe, because you heard this echoed a lot. It's like where we didn't do our job and we wish, I'm paraphrasing what they're saying, but we wish that we played better assignment football because we knew we were up against a roster that's impressive. We knew that this is an opportunity, and I don't think however you cut it, there's not a lot of silver lining as a failure. But how do you respond now? That's what's really interesting about this team. I do have a lot of faith in a Trent Bray led anything, but just to be anecdotal, like I'll never forget, like my senior year in football, we thought we were going to be something special, and we got beat soundly by two better teams, and it was an opportunity. And I've kind of talked to people about, like, we ended up playing a lot better football on the back half of the schedule, and I just think that this is an opportunity for this team. And the good teams aren't going away. I don't know that we're going to see another Oregon. That's a special roster, but the good teams aren't going away. Purdue's going to be, for lack of better terms, pissed off. California's playing good football. Washington State's playing good football. UNLV's playing good football. Boise State's playing good football. Air Force is playing good football. Insert team, right?
Yeah.
I think this is a really cool opportunity to see what that locker room's like, how they respond, I think that we should be excited, and I really hope. And again, I may lose you, so this is like my boilerplate statement. I hope Beaver fans show up for Purdue. I'll be there. I'll be there with my kids. I'll be there wearing the coordinated colors, And look, man, in August we thought that we were going to get beat by a superior roster, by superior talent, and because they misstepped, we maybe started to alter our viewpoint of this game. You know what I mean? And I think what has happened is you saw a really talented Oregon team, and as much as I hate to say this, a really talented, really good coaching staff, really good program, put it all together for us.
Yeah. It was their Super Bowl,
Well, they played like it.
Yeah,
so.
no, they did. It all came together for them. But you're right. This, I think, and I'm with you, Ty, in that I think this coaching staff, I have all the faith in the world in this coaching staff.
Yeah.
But let's not forget that as much as we want the players on our roster, on the Beaver roster, to grow and continue to get better, this is a first-year head coach and a first-year offensive coordinator.
First year, he was a co-defensive coordinator before.
Yes.
Right?
So, these are coaches that are learning too, and I think we need to expect them to keep taking steps forward as well. This is going to be a learning. They're kind of learning together, but it's going to be a big test, right?
Yeah.
Like, you got punched in the mouth. Are you going to fight, or are you going to start pointing fingers?
And that's why
no moral victories, but I'll be really interested to see how this team responds.
That's kind of why I think this upcoming game kind of defines the rest of Oregon State's season. I mean, I put that in my instant takeaways after the loss. This is.
I thought you did a great job with that, by the way, both of you guys. She said, and I really enjoyed that, by the way.
Thank you. Yeah, I mean, I feel like this is.
It's really hard to write sometimes after a
loss.
You wouldn't want to, too.
Not too fun. But I feel like this could be a make or break point in the season. You've got another Power 4 team coming to town. You're coming off the worst loss that the school has seen since Utah in 2019, I believe. I think that's right. It's a young team, 3 starters back, lots of redshirt freshmen, sophomores, freshmen, juniors that haven't playing football. And I think if they come out with the energy, the way that Trent Bray is going to want them to come out, then Oregon State should win this game and, kickstart their season back up. If they lose, players could see a 2-2 record going into a Mountain West schedule, and they could, the team could kind of spiral. So that's why I think this Saturday is the most important game the Beavers have played to date, and it could be the defining factor in this season. And I think Oregon State fans, just based off, even though Oregon State lost last week, you still have to show out and come support, because Oregon State's lost 3 games in race here in the last 3 years now, I believe. 3 games in the last 3 years, and a lot of that's because of the fans, the environment that they provide. So
and that stripe, so it is a stripe out, guys.
I'll buy you a beer. It's a couple of
there
years.
you go. Stripe out. My kiddo's coming. So if you see Jack running around, I need to find him. I think he has orange now.
Yeah.
The kid is grown so much. He's like outgrown all his Beaver stuff that I got him like last year. So
Nice.
He just keeps telling me he needs more stuff, but he is in an orange section. So I need to make sure he has orange. The other thing that we haven't really talked about, but we'll talk about it after kind of the break here, is the injuries that Oregon State has sustained.
Yeah.
So we're going to talk about that. But for the podcast side, we have to take a quick break just so they can put in a couple little ads. 24/7 can, and we'll be back in just a second to talk injuries and Purdue. Okay, we are back to talk. We're gone. Oregon's done. We're done talking Oregon. Civil War. Moving on. Moving on. Okay. Injuries, though, I think is something really important that we haven't touched on, especially when you look at the two lines, the offensive and defensive line. This was something that kind of hit me the other day, just kind of on the way home, I guess, was Oregon State offensive line has lost Bolton, Moreno, and now Strand, which we don't know how serious that is. So we had 8 guys that Jake, Ty, and I kind of had pigeonholed as the top 8.
Wells was
out too. Yeah.
But yeah,
back this weekend.
He has to be a part of that conversation.
Yeah. So against Oregon. Well, I was done talking Oregon, but yes, against Oregon, you had 4 guys out. 4 of your 8.
I think having Wells and Bolton and Strand to an extent as well, because he got hurt during the game, that affected the Oregon State game plan. Because the Beavers, the first 2 games we saw them rotate 8-9 guys in consistently. They're only able to rotate in 6 guys on Saturday, and it's tough to keep those guys fresh going up against the defensive line as good as Oregon.
Yeah, and Oregon's game plan was to also, more on defense, was to not allow Oregon State to rotate. D-line, though, was out. If you go back to, Takari Hickle, that was Jake's number 1 favorite. Takari Hickle was out with an ACL. Nick Norris went down fall camp with an ACL. And then, so they lost both of those guys. And then Josh Griffiths is no longer with the program. So those were 3.
And Kelsey started to come
Kelsey
on.
Howard.
Big time.
Yeah. So Kelsey Howard. So you are down 4 guys, again, that you had penciled in to start on the defensive line. So go ahead.
And you throw in Olu Matoshu.
Yeah.
And Tommy Blake didn't play on Saturday as well. So that's 6 of their edge guys. I think all 6 of those guys were slated to play the DN edge spot. Oregon State had to bump Thomas Collins outside just due to the lack of depth.
How many reps did Olu get? I didn't look at Pro Football Focus.
He didn't play.
Oh, didn't?
He dressed, but he didn't play.
Okay, I think I was misled by some information. I was told he did, and I was like, I feel like that guy's a difference maker when he's on the field.
We found out that after we put it out that Olu was dressed, we found out that he wasn't going to play, but he was still dressed, so we didn't say anything afterwards. So
just something else to keep in mind. Like I said, injuries happen everywhere, but when they're hitting those 2 key position groups, it's tough. Okay, let's talk some Purdue, because this is a winnable Big Ten game that would, like Jake said, this could be the turning point of the season. This could be the key game of the season. This is a team that went 4-8 last year, 2-7 in the Big Ten. They played Oregon State. It was in 2021. Oregon State lost 21-30 at Purdue. So, Jake, how just initially you've done the initial, matchup. How did the Beavers match up with Purdue?
They're 2 kind of similar teams. They run the ball well. Experienced secondaries. Purdue's got one of the best safeties in the country. Freshman All-American last year, had over 100 tackles and I want to say 4 or 5 picks. And his name's Dylan. I'm going to butcher this. Thineman, something like that. But he's a fantastic player. Still kind of learning what Ryan Walters, their second-year head coach, is trying to do there. They have somewhat familiar name as an offensive coordinator, and Graham Harrell, played quarterback at Texas Tech, was a Mike Leach guy, offensive coordinator at SC under Clay Helton a few years ago. So, and a familiar name at quarterback as well in Hudson Card, who was a one-time thought to be an Oregon State Beaver commit, was maybe, I don't know the whole spiel on that. But overall, it's a team that two strong running backs, a really good tight end, and a big physical offensive line, which sounds familiar.
It does sound familiar. So yeah, Hudson Card, if you guys remember the saga, it started, Beavs were down in the Vegas Bowl and got word that Brian Lindgren was flying home that evening because Hudson Card was making an official visit while Oregon State was actually down at the bowl game. Hudson Card saw. And then there was some rumor because Oregon then went and hired his offensive coordinator from high school as their OC. And so they thought that could – anyway, Hudson Card ended up with Purdue. So familiar name, you have to watch that. It's just part of the storyline there. Defensively, what do the Beavers need to do this week? What do you want to see?
I want to see them stop the run. I mean, we saw them do it with one of the better running backs in the country in Marquez Cooper last weekend or 2 weeks ago. But then last weekend, we saw Jordan James, Noah Whittington, Dylan Gabriel just run all over the Oregon State defense at free will. I think they averaged almost 8 yards a pop, a little less than that maybe. But this is a Purdue team that's got two good running backs in Devin Mockabee and Reggie Love. They're dealing with some injuries in the receiving room as well, so they're kind of thin there. So I think if Oregon State can take away the run game and make Hudson Card beat Oregon State with his arm, I think that'll help keep Oregon State in the game up, and then let their offense go out there and win the game for them.
Ty, what do you want to see?
I mean, yeah, I think this is a toughness thing. I think this is a mental game because I think that you have, as my oldest brother Justin pointed out, who is in Indiana, he works for the Indianapolis Colts, and he pointed out, I mean, there's a lot of nice things to say about the Purdue program. And I think it's an outlier that they lost that game in the way they did to Notre Dame. I don't think that's indicative of who that team is. I think that's a tough team still. I think that they've got a defensive-minded head coach, a new head coach, a lot like we do. And I think that you're going to see, the clash of two identities, And I think Oregon State, that's why I said, I was like, man, show up, because let's show them the brand of football that we as a program, as fans, bring to research. Because I think that if you look at that score against Notre Dame, I don't think that's a very accurate depiction of what that football team is. I think they're going to be tough.
Well, I think that's part of the – I mean, it's been kind of the trickle down, though. Notre Dame gets beat by Northern Illinois, so then they come take out their aggressions on Purdue.
I think that's a tough football team.
Purdue gets smacked in the mouth. Oregon State goes and smacks around San Diego State, comes in, and Oregon somehow gets everything put together and punches them in the mouth. So you have two teams now that have been punched in the mouth. It's a toughness thing. Who's going to be tougher on Saturday?
Yeah. I think that they lost to a very good, very pissed off Notre Dame football team.
Yeah. Okay, so we want to see them stop the run. What do you want to see the Beavers do on offense, Jake?
I think this is a Purdue team that just got ran all over by Notre Dame. I think they ran for 370 yards, and that bodes well for Oregon State. The Beavers want to run the football, and they didn't have as much success with that on Saturday. Jam and Hank combined for 84 yards on 22 carries, which is, I think they both ran for more than that in the first two games apiece.
So guess what Ashton Jeanty did to Oregon the week before.
Yeah.
So, and you're right. I'm not being contrary to what you're saying, Jake, but I'm just saying the metrics of that it's not directly comparable. Yeah,
and by no means are they going to run for 360 yards on Purdue, but I think Oregon State is going to try and get back to that run success. And after they get that established, I'd really like to see them open up the passing game some more.
Yeah. Darius Clemens. Brace said he's playing. Did he say playing or suiting up?
He said he's definitely playing.
So, okay.
About him, Dan Wells, and Skylar Thomas. Because Skylar got.
Can I bring up something real quick? Just a quick hold second. I know we're moving on to Purdue. But on the injury front, and I'm not saying anything, everybody knows that like I am a fan. I bleed black and orange. I got orange colored glasses. But I did talk to a former player that I have, daily communication with. And he talked about the injuries are head scratching because back in the day, and I'm not saying anything, man. I know it's a different game, and I know that there's liabilities for pushing a kid when they didn't play. I know we got to move on, Angie. But one thing that this former player told me was that, man, you play unless you're coming off a surgery or something was like wrong. Like the amount of like walking wounded we have is concerning. And I don't know how it is. I don't know. I'm not reading other teams' practice reports and stuff like that. Nor am I trying to make any kind of point about the team's mental toughness or the strength and conditioning of the program. But it's concerning. I don't think this is the norm. Like we got a lot of people hurt. And it's really early in the season. This isn't November. Why? And I don't mean to be negative. I just feel like that's a talking point, like why are so many people dinged up right now?
Oh, I think a lot of them have been non-contact knee injuries and ankles. We've seen
lots of guys in boots.
Things, but it's more of guys like most of the guys that are out for the year or out long term. Like Clemens is coming off a surgery in the off season. He's still recovering. Like more serious stuff, and
clearly people like Takari, like Kelsey, like Tyler Volton, like of course they're hurt, of course, and I'm not challenging these guys' toughness or the legitimacy of these injuries, but this does seem to be an aberration where it's like, whoa, that's a lot,
Well, and I've not gone back, but there does seem to be more torn ACLs this year than I've seen in the past. You always have some, but there's a lot.
Only Jake would know this off the top of his head.
I know. Jake's counting.
There's at least
7?
There's at least 6 or 7 knee / Achilles that are guys that we know of are done. And
okay, but just to be fair, this is my first year. No, nobody has invited me to do a fantasy football. So I've never done it before.
It's in the NFL too. There's so many other things.
Yeah. So I just because my kids plan fantasy, my husband does fantasy, and they never include me. So I was like, okay, I'm gonna play this. So I just am playing in some rando beginner league on ESPN. And so I get first pick, guys. I got first pick, and what do? Christian McCaffrey, baby. Christian McCaffrey. And I'm like, wait, what? So that
when it rains, it pours, Angie.
Oh no, get this. Christian McCaffrey, Pacheco was my other running back. Jordan Love. Dude. I'm learning quickly. But hey, I'm just gonna throw this out there. If anybody does fantasy next year, let me know because I want to play with people that I can like smack talk with. I don't know these
should
people.
Do a BeaverBlitz fantasy.
We should. We do our
smart.
pick but we could do a Beaver. Yeah, because seriously, it's kind of fun. And I thought I needed to know a lot more than I do, but I don't. You just have to go on. And my kid was giving me crap though because on my bench I have Brandon Cooks. And he's like, "Why do you have Brandon Cooks?" I'm like, "Because it's Brandon Cooks."
I have Brandon Cooks on my team.
So then after Jordan Love went out, Jack starts messing with it. And he's like, well, you need to do this and you need to do. So next thing I know, he traded Brandon Cooks. And I was like, well, no, you don't trade Brandon Cooks. So I went back and got him back. I think I've got my thing nailed in. I got Fairbairn as my kicker. So he's getting me lots of points. Anyway, that was a total digression. But what I meant to say, where that was going was the NFL has had a ton of injuries too. Early.
Yeah. And
the game's not getting slower,
Yeah.
You think
these guys are pushing their body,
The funny thing is, you'd think with all the, updated, like weight room technology and, like
the recovery stuff and
you'd think all this stuff, especially at the highest level with the NFL, you'd think all these soft tissue injuries, these Achilles and then these ligaments with like, your ACLs, your MCLs. We're seeing so many of those. You'd think with the increased technology and the, I wonder if it has to do with not tackling as much in practice. The body's not as used to it. Maybe. I mean, I don't know.
Or they're just not as tough as those guys that played in the 90s.
They'd be all shot up with Vicodin and stuff.
I don't know. I think the game's changed too because like those, especially in the NFL, and certainly also though with the college game, those are some expensive soft tissue. That's some expensive knees. I mean, nobody's going to question how much money Division I football makes. You know?
Yeah. No, it is crazy.
Yeah, that may be the reason why some of these players aren't getting back as fast as they typically are. You know, they don't want to rush it back and tear it again and potentially ruin their future, or like not get paid as much NIL here because of an injury or elsewhere. And
I have to apologize, guys, because I had it in private chat mode, so I didn't think anybody was commenting, and then I noticed that I had it on a spot. So Brian Miller says we are all down for a BeaverBlitz Fantasy League. Okay, so next year I'm going to work on that. I'm just going to see if I missed anything. DJ Westlock, he played again on Saturday.
First time
he's and knee braces. Keldon Shirley mentions that the O linemen are not wearing knee braces, and that's interesting because I thought that was something they typically did. But, yeah.
I'm sure that's not negligence. I'm sure like we just talked about, those are some expensive knees, man.
Yeah. So anyway, we kind of went off on a little tangent there, but I do think it's important that fans get to Reeser this weekend, 5:30 kick. We do have some damn questions. You guys have it. So Ty, where are you at again? You want to give another little plug there?
I'm in North Bend, Oregon at the Back Alley Pub, North Bend Lanes. Beaver fans, come on down. Matt Matichek, he's the man. I also need him. I need to give him the shout out because he books me for comedy. So yes, Ty is a comedian. So if you are also looking for a fun show, you got to go check out Ty. Jake, what do you got you got anything you want to promote? Jake, are you there?
Oh yeah. Sorry, I thought you were talking to Ty. Real fast, can we talk about the 2025 schedule that's starting to get put together?
Yes, absolutely.
I think with the addition of Wake Forest coming to town, I think this schedule for next year at least is shaping up to be pretty fun. You got Houston's coming to town, I believe. Cal's coming to town to start the season, I think. Wake Forest, and you're at Oregon, at Texas Tech, at Wazoo. It's shaping up to be a fun season. I mean, that's those are not great programs, but those are 3 plus Oregon 4. 3 of those programs aren't great. Oregon's
they're
a great
scary
program,
programs. They're scary.
Right, Wake Forest, yeah. I mean, they're still Power 4 programs, and I think it's time that they still want to come to Reeser and want to come to Corvallis, and they still want us to go and play there. I just think that was, looking up this morning and seeing Oregon State scheduling another game against a Power 4 team. I
hear there's another one coming shortly. So
yeah, I've heard that as well.
Insight,
I don't know the
school. I hear another good one. I mean, good in that being a Power 4. So that will be
hang on, Clemson.
So and we did our emergency pod back when all this broke about the 6-pack. But Ty, you didn't join us, but thoughts? Just give me some quick thoughts. I mean, what do you about the new Pack 6?
No, it's really interesting. I think it's really exciting, and I think for people there may be some gnashing of teeth and stuff, but I think that you have to keep in mind the caveat that this is all going to look so differently in a couple of years. So I think that you're positioning yourself. And look, we could have banged on the door of the Big 12 and the ACC and said, please let us in. I think that us being proactive in the way that we were is going to play dividends in the long game.
Yeah.
I don't know a lot about realignment. I don't know a lot about the chess match of what the academics that bring the people, what the TV markets. I haven't done my due diligence in the research in that regard, but I think that us being proactive is going to be helpful because I think this is going to look a whole lot different to where you may zoom out and be like, right now, well, we're not part of Power 4. I don't think there's going to be a Power 4 soon.
No.
Yeah.
Because I think it's heading toward Big 10 and SEC, and they've even kicked some teams out.
Yeah.
and then it'll be everyone else. I agree. I think,
I
and I do
think
too.
this
I think it was fans I know weren't super excited, Beaver fans.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, like you said, we could keep begging the Big 12, or hoping and praying that the ACC falls apart, and then we can pick up scraps. But what does that do? I mean,
I think there's a very legitimate chance that there may not be a Big 12 and ACC in the next half decade.
Yeah.
When that happens, now you got to
I think
look
the
at
ACC
as a
especially.
very smart move.
Yeah.
Yeah. What were you saying, Jake?
I think with the ACC especially, I think there's a chance the Big 12, because they kind of got ahead of everything. In my opinion, they're built to sustain much longer than the.
But now the Pac-6 is going to be ahead of potentially getting some teams that the ACC wanted to backfill.
It is interesting, the juxtaposition of people being like, well, Memphis isn't a great academic.
Okay, this whole academic thing. Cal and Stanford are gone.
Yeah,
there's about academics.
Yeah.
Well,
we were talking athletics.
So University of Washington.
If you're worried about academics, go join the Ivy League. I mean,
yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
I mean, people.
In my opinion,
go ahead.
I don't think academics have any bearing on any TV deal or anything.
Football drives the bus, baby. Yeah. Football. I mean, what was I heard?
Yeah.
I heard that football enrollment jumped when we beat USC in 2008 or whenever it was. Maybe it was prior to that. Maybe it was the Fiesta Bowl year. The enrollment of Oregon State University took a significant jump. Football drives the bus.
2000 after the whole Fiesta Bowl jumped. I mean, think back when I graduated in '97. Enrollment was like 13,000.
It's 37 now.
30, yeah, it's
38.
crazy. Yes, football drives the bus. I've never really been in that camp of worrying about the academics for my athletic institutions. Football, just Anyway, that is where we're at there. So,
one other quick note One other quick note about that Wake Forest. It's actually, I saw this on Twitter. Obviously, excluding Cal and Stanford, it's the first time an ACC team will ever come to Corvallis.
Really?
Yeah, I saw that on Twitter. Louisville came in 2009, but they're still part of the Big East then. So there's never been an ACC team play a football game in Corvallis until next year.
Okay.
Wow.
Cal will do it in Wake Forest.
Yes,
interesting.
It was that Uncle Filthy said it was the Notre Dame bowl game. So the Fiesta Bowl year was huge for enrollment, but then after USC, after some of those, and Kendon, Shirley, I meant 2007. I wish I graduated in 2007. I did not. I was there for the beautiful Jerry Pettibone days. Yes, I have a huge birthday coming up too, so I'm not looking forward to it. But that's beyond.
You're
beyond
crushing
the point.
it, Andrew Machado. You're crushing it.
Crushing that. It's okay. I'm gonna everybody will be so happy that fall is recruiting, because when I do have this big birthday, I'm going to go on a little vacation. So I'll be and I'll still be working because I always do. But it always happens that we get tons of recruits when Angie goes on vacation.
I need to stay by my computer.
What'd you say?
I said, I'm going to need to stay by my computer.
Yes, you're going to be busy. Actually, it's right around signing day. So hopefully all the stuff. Oh, Kendon's with me. Big birthday coming up. I'm kind of dreading it. Guys. I have a countdown already. That's okay. Okay, we have a few damn questions because we haven't got those in a little bit. So
I am freezing, by the way. Remember, you guys were like, it's sunny out? I'm like, it's not sunny anymore. It's so cold.
Is it sunny in Corvallis, Jake?
Looks like it. It wasn't earlier. It wasn't
Looked like
earlier.
it was going to rain here. Jake, where's the flag? Your background needs updating.
I've got Jaquizzi James, Pat Casey, and I've got some more on the way. So.
Oh, okay. So you did it. Okay. Do you want to tell us a little bit about your weekend? How you got to hang out with some of the Hall of Famers?
Oh yeah, I got to hang out with Jaquiz Rogers this weekend. That was pretty cool. My a close friend of mine, his close family friends with the Rogers family, and I was going over to his house, which is next door, and Jaquiz Rogers was there. I was like, oh, hi, and then showed him around our houses and everything, and then she took us out to the Downward Dog. So it was pretty fun to get to hang out with my favorite player when I was a kid. So Big thank you to
Did
big thank you
you
to
try and form tackle him, Jake?
He still looks like he could play, so no.
Yeah.
Dude, who's the guy? I can't remember. It was one of the Alabama running backs. It wasn't Derrick Henry. It was like one of the guys.
Mark Ingram.
Yeah, that like this fan's like, I got you, and then Mark Ingram just runs through him like 2 steps through him. I was like, oh, dude, don't.
Jaquiz still actually could have ran for 150 and 3 touchdowns last Saturday, so
Yeah.
I don't think that would have ended too well for me.
Yeah, there you go.
Yes.
You got him, Jake. You got him,
Yeah,
Jake.
you got him. You got him. You could take him. No, it was fun to see. I mean, Pat Casey being inducted in the Hall of Fame, Derek Anderson, some great names there. Jacoby, yep, Darwin Barney, some Beaver greats. So that's always fun to be there. So okay, on BeaverBlitz we have Beavs Fanatic 123. Who do you think will be the offensive and defensive player of the game against Purdue?
I'm gonna take a flyer and go Giovanni McCoy.
Okay.
I think we're going to open up the passing game, and I think we're going to see the best game we've seen from Giovanni McCoy. Defensively, I'm going to go with Jaden Robinson.
Okay.
I hope it's Thomas Collins, but you're probably right. But I hope it's Thomas Collins.
Okay. Who's your offensive then, Ty?
I think Jaden Robinson comes up with his first career interception on Saturday.
I still can't believe he hasn't had one yet. That's nuts.
I don't know, man. I feel like as Giovanni McCoy and Josh Gray go, so goes the offense. So you know, and not that Josh has played poorly by any stretch, but I feel like if Josh has an exceptional game of note and Giovanni does, I think that we're probably seeing some cool things and some developments with offense. So
I'm going with Vonnie as well because I just think he just takes that next step. And I'm going with Nico Taylor for defensive.
Yeah.
We had Nico on a couple weeks ago. So let's see. Okay, Reeser Beeve 23 says, what is your opinion of the type of television contract that the new and improved Pac-12 could expect with 8 to 19 conference?
I have no clue, to be honest. I haven't really.
I've been seeing, like, if you add Memphis, Tulane, UNLV, I've been seeing kind of in that 10 million range. It's kind of what I'm.
Hey, real quick, how cool is it going to be to go on the road as a Beaver fan? Like, if that happens, I know that that's projection, but like potentially you're looking at the conversations. You look at San Antonio, you're looking at Tulane, you're looking at Memphis, and you're looking at Las Vegas. Potentially.
San Diego.
It's pretty cool. I need to start making more money.
Yeah. Casinos, Mexican food, Bourbon Street, the best barbecue, and beaches. Those 5. I mean, come on now. Does not get much better than that.
Dude, that's the name of my autobiography. Let's go, dude. Let's go.
Casinos, beaches, and barbecues.
Okay, but Memphis barbecue, is it better? I mean, everybody's going to have their.
I've never been to Memphis, so I don't know.
The music, though. The music. It's not Nashville. It's not Nashville, but it's home of Graceland, baby. It's Elvis. Let's go.
Okay. I've never. And honestly, the only time I've been to New Orleans was when I was like newly pregnant, and it was not fun because I couldn't drink and it just smelled horribly the whole time I was there. So different experience now. Different experience now. And I've never been to San Antonio. So that was one. I have been to Vegas.
Is San Antonio, I'm gonna be dumb here, but is San Antonio the one with the canals?
Yeah.
Yeah.
The Alamo. Remember the Alamo?
Yeah,
the Alamo Bowl. Which I've heard. Now Eric went to the Alamo Bowl and covered for us the year Oregon State was at the Alamo Bowl, and he said it's a great bowl. So if by chance if Oregon State ever gets there, you want to go. Oh, Matt Giaffoni. Should the Bees pursue a bunch of JUCO D linemen this cycle? He loves the JUCO D linemen. Or do you think JUCOs could be a place to find nuggets in the new area of recruiting with so much portal focus? What do you think?
I think if you look at this defensive line, if we're talking like interior defensive line, it's young. You got Thomas Collins, redshirt freshman, Tavita Pomea, redshirt freshman, JoJo Johnson, redshirt freshman. You got it's junior and Jacob Schuster, and then Hamis will be on after this year. But outside of that,
but then you bring back Hickle.
Younger guys, sophomore,
Norris,
redshirt freshman. I do think they'll pick up 1 or 2, not to necessarily be game breakers, more of depth purposes. I'd like to see them pick up another interior defensive lineman or 2 from the freshman ranks because they have no freshmen, like current true freshman defensive linemen. And right now they have Jesse Myers committed that he's more of an edge defensive end type guy than an interior guy. So I'd kind of like to see
him. I got to meet him and his dad. They were on the sideline for this game. This
great
past
family.
So,
Great family.
Do you remember when the first time I joined you guys? I was fortunate enough to join you guys on the BeaverBlitz podcast. I was like, I've been a Beaver fan and been a BeaverBlitz member forever. I've never remembered so many bodies on the defensive line. I did this. I jinxed us.
Yeah, you did. You said that.
Someone from Tidy Hill either. There's another one.
Yeah, Tidy Hill.
Yeah.
Dang it. Ty.
I'm sorry, Beaver fans.
57 Hail Marys and
yeah.
Break the curse.
Yep.
And then Matt, also just a quick one. Early returns on position coaches. Grade wise, you guys thinking C, B?
It's only been 3 games at this point. I feel like it's still too early to tell, and also the level of competition each game is so drastically different.
Yeah.
One of the worst FCS teams.
Yeah.
Let's see how when we get film on people. That goes.
It's still. I say it's too early to tell because it's tough to gauge the level.
See, my feeling is this is going to be something we talk about. So start prepping the second bye week, because by then it's going to be like what late. That's in October.
October 26th is the bye.
Yeah, so late October.
November 2nd is the bye week.
Okay,
so it's Halloween weekend.
Yes. So we're going.
Guys, there's an event happening here. I gotta go.
Yeah.
I gotta go. Go Beavs! I'll see you Saturday, Beaver fans. Come and see me. I'm sitting in some very cheap seats. Come and see me. Hope I see you at the tailgate. I gotta go, guys. Thank you so much.
Bye. Thanks, Ty.
Bye.
Oh, I took out the wrong one. There we go.
Took
out Ty, or I took out Jake, not Ty. Okay, Jake, but we're like right at an hour. It was good to have. We had, if you didn't hear us early, we had Todd Butler on, who talked about the damn flag, and I will have. I'm going to tweet out the link. So really, what they're trying to do with the damn flag, and that's if you haven't seen it waving on College Game Day, they've partnered up with Old Crimson, the Washington State flag. They're going to be waving 19. This will be the 19th College Game Day this weekend in Norman, Oklahoma. And so they're just trying to put together a database of if you're interested ever. And so if it ever comes near you, then the group can reach out to you and see if you want to have a shot at waving it. So I'm going to send out the link to sign up. Jake, game week, another home game. I get to see you. Are you excited for Purdue? What just thought?
Yeah, I'm excited. It's the last time there's going to be technically a Power 4 team, even though I think UNLV and Wazoo are both the better teams. It's the biggest brand to come into Corvallis the rest of the season. First game with the students, I think the freshmen move in this week because it was impossible to find parking this morning.
But that's the worst. That is
the roads were all closed. I went the back way through by Callahan and everything, and half the roads were closed off. I had to turn around. I was almost late.
One of my sorority sisters from back in the day, her daughter is moving in. I know she posted pictures today of leaving Bend or Prineville with all the stuff loaded in. So yeah, it's going to get crazy. I forgot about the parking. Summer parking is so much better.
Yeah.
Summer parking.
I found a great spot right in front of Valley, but it was like the lot was packed and I was all
you're right. I forgot about that, Jake. That is the worst.
We'll have to start walking from now on.
Yeah. I think I'll have to park at your house and walk. Okay. Until next week, you guys, thanks for joining us. I'm Angie Machado. He's Jake Hedberg. You can find us both at BeaverBlitz.com. And we'll be back next week for another episode of the Damn Podcast.